Representative Barbara Lee has told her fellow lawmakers she's running for Senate in California, according to two sources familiar with the situation. She informed her colleagues in a closed door Congressional Black Caucus meeting on Wednesday. Asked later Wednesday about her plans, Lee said in a brief interview she'd officially announce when it's appropriate. Right now, in respect to Senator Dianne Feinstein and the floods and what I'm doing my work, and we'll let them know when I intend to go to the next step. But now's the time not to talk about that, she said. Lee declined to say whether she'd run against 89-year-old Feinstein if the California senator chose to run again rather than retire. I'm not really doing anything except letting colleagues know that there will be a time to talk about the Senate race, she said. Lee's decision to run comes a day after Representative Katie Porter also announced a bid for the seat currently held by Feinstein. Feinstein's future has been the subject of much speculation by Democrats in recent months, though she's remained publicly non-committal on her plans. It represents a safe Democratic seat for whoever can muscle through a likely crowded primary. Lee spoke to Feinstein and California Governor Gavin Newsom last month about her plans, according to a person familiar with the situation. Feinstein told Lee she would make a decision soon, but understood Lee would need to plan her own bid. The emerging Senate race is likely to draw from a deep well of ambitious House Democrats, mainly many of whom have been waiting for shots at the statewide office. A former leader of the Progressive Caucus, Lee is known as a longtime leader in California politics, and Representative Adam Schiff has also signaled his interest in. Oh, please no, though he hasn't officially announced. Schiff's camp had knocked Porter for announcing amid historic storms and flooding in California, and Schiff used his email fundraising list to raise money for storm relief. Lee was widely seen as leading the list of potential Feinstein replacements if she were to retire early and Governor Gavin Newsom were to choose a successor, though there's no indication Feinstein would do so. The governor vetted Lee when then Senator Kamala Harris departed for the vice presidency, and he publicly committed to choosing a black woman if he had the chance to make another appointment. While she lacks the fundraising might of Porter and Schiff, Lee is a revered figure in the Oakland anchored district she has represented for decades. Her deep Bay Area roots could be an asset given that both Porter and Schiff represent Southern California districts. Some other House members have emerged as potential contenders, but Representative Eric Swalwell isn't expected to seek the seat. Representative Ro Khanna has said he would defer a decision for a few months. So, I'm someone who's not really the biggest fan of Barbara Lee, and when I say that, it's not actually negative. It's because, from what I've seen, a lot of progressives really only hype her up because of one vote, which was being the only House member to vote against the war authorization back in what was it 2001. Anyways, whether it's her or Porter, both of them, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, would be definite improvements over Feinstein, and most certainly I would prefer either of them over Schiff, who is likely to run as well. Um, but what's interesting about this seat is that I think they know more than meaning that I do believe Feinstein is probably going to retire because I can't imagine, even if you want to talk about how old she is, that if she wanted to run for another term and was not in some way vulnerable, they would this big crowded primary of other younger, certainly more ambitious Democrats would suddenly appear. I don't buy that. But I think this is so interesting because when you have two seats that, and I think a lot of people forget this, but between early 90s to 2017, California just had the same two senators, Feinstein and Boxer, and then Boxer left, and then Harris won that election against what was that Loretta Sanchez, I think. So this is the reason the field is so big is because some of these people have been waiting for that dynamic duo to get gone literally for over 10 years, if not longer. Because there were talks of Feinstein being Gore's running mate back when he ran against Bush in 2000. So uh, again, I hope that in the coming months, if she does run, we get an actual robust discussion. But what I'm worried about, because her and Porter kind of occupy the same progressive vote lane, because feel it will be crowded. I'm worried that the two of them might siphon off votes from each other and then let some, moderate, lousier person, take the reins. And I hope they sit down and one of them picks to run. And I don't know, just there needs to be something done to make sure that one of those two wins and not someone like Schiff or Swall or any of these other, corporate stooges. Um, but as things currently stand, I'm interested to see where this goes. It looks like it's going to be an interesting primary.